wouldn't it be nice to have several thought leaders in your industry know and love your brand? Start a podcast. Invite your industry's thought leaders to be guests on your show, and start reaping the benefits of having a network full of industry influencers. Learn more at sweetfishmedia.com.
You're listening to the B2B Growth Show, a podcast dedicated to helping B2B executives achieve explosive growth. Whether you're looking for techniques and strategies or tools and resources, you've come to the right place. I'm Jonathan Green.
And I'm James Carberry.
Let's get into the show.
Welcome back to the B2B Growth Show. This is an extremely special episode because we are announcing our very first sales hire in this episode, and he is actually on this interview today. So his name is Logan Lyles. He's our brand new sales hire. He is flying to Orlando this weekend. Actually, if you're listening to this on a Friday, he's in the air probably right now. And he's going to be one of our primary co-hosts on B2B Growth. So Logan, how are you doing today, man? I'm
doing great. Looking forward to this chat and looking forward to joining the team and getting rolling, man.
Yeah, I am. I'm so dang excited to have somebody with your background, your experience, your skill set in the art of selling. You've been selling for the last 10 years. Can you give listeners just a little bit of your background and then a little bit of the story that led you to ultimately coming on board with the team?
Yeah, so I've been in B2B sales in different roles, mostly in the office technology world, which anyone in that world will tell you, office technology is what someone says when they don't want to say, hey, I sell copiers. So that's kind of the world that I've been in technology sales. And I think it was about a year and a half ago that you and I first connected, James. I was actually following Bomb on LinkedIn. I live out in Colorado Springs, so they're just down the road from me. And I think it was a virtual summit that you were doing with an interview with one of the team members over there. And I remember after that, I just reached out and thought, hey, this guy's sharing some good stuff. Seems like a great guy. I'd love to connect with him. And you were gracious enough to take that call. We chatted for, I think, probably only 30 minutes. And since then, we struck up a friendship and have been connecting and engaging on LinkedIn and offline. And just through the forming of that friendship and seeing where the company was going and seeing the vision that you had for it, man, I'm really excited to have the opportunity to join the team now.
Yeah, I think it's kind of my takeaway from this interaction. Was initially when we did those virtual summits, we got a lot of leads out of it, but those leads didn't necessarily turn into any new business for us. And I looked at those virtual summits as really kind of as a failure, honestly. Like, we generated 800 leads, but no new business. It was a failure. But when you look at the long tail impact of doing something like that, it ultimately led me to getting to interview Gary Vee. It allowed us to cross paths. So that's the thing that I love about content is it's, in the age that we live in today, you never know like how far and wide that stuff is going to reach and the impact that it can have on your life, your career, your relationships. And so, I am so stoked to have you on board, man. The things that you've already been doing, on kind of your nights and weekends as you tie up, you're shutting down kind of your former job, closing things down with your former employer, but you've already added enormous value, just kind of helping us think through our sales call strategy, how we should structure those calls, how we should configure our CRM. And today in this episode, we're actually going to be sharing a LinkedIn engagement tactic that I learned from you, in these last few weeks as you've been kind of ramping up, getting ready to come on board. You started doing something on LinkedIn that you told me about, and I was like, oh my gosh, that's brilliant. And it's something that, it's not rocket science, but it's been right in front of my face this entire time, and I'd never done it. And so, Logan, I'd love to spend the rest of this episode with you. I want to add tangible value to listeners. Can you walk us through what that LinkedIn engagement tactic is, and how it is ended up producing results for you in the very short time? I mean, you haven't even technically started yet, but it's already produced results for you in our business. Can you talk to us about that?
Yeah. And, I think you brought up a good point. It's actually pretty simple. It doesn't require, any Chrome extensions or, any special apps or anything like that. This isn't some sort of wicked hack, but it is a process that I've followed that helps convert that. Oh, hey, I got a lot of views. I got a lot of engagement on this piece of content, to moving things to actual engagement offline, actual sales conversations, which is what we're looking for to eventually move things down the funnel and produce revenue for your business, no matter what you're doing.
Yeah. No, I was going to say, just so, anytime you start talking about your social engagement, LinkedIn, the reach that you're getting on LinkedIn, I've noticed that, there tends to be, particularly from the sales side of the house, this, okay, but what, that's nice. You're getting all this engagement, quote unquote, but what's that really mean for the business? How does that really driving revenue?
How do those views translate?
Exactly. And somebody asked me that the other day, actually. They said, how are all these views that you're getting? How do you then integrate that traction into your sales funnel? Yeah. And what you're about to explain does exactly that. So I'll let you take it from here.
So what I started to do, as I started to follow some best practices that help you get, further reach on your LinkedIn posts, is I started to look at everyone who liked a particular post. And typically you can see those kind of grouped together as you click on the little button that shows you, hey, here's everyone who's given you a like on this post. And you see the 25 or 50 or however many names. And you can pretty easily see who of those people that have liked the post are first degree connections, second degree, third degree connections. So what I started to do was really start to look at who are those people that I'm not directly connected with now that took a second to like my post. They saw some value. Somehow I stopped them in their scrolling on LinkedIn one way or another. And then looking at those folks and seeing who would be worth striking up a conversation with based on, who I could sell to, who would be a good referral partner, who might be good to have in my network for one reason or another, and started to just think strategically, about that list. And then, you might have 50 likes or even 25 likes on a post. 1, 2, maybe 5 or 6 of those folks could be, strategic people that you want to reach out to. So then what I did was kind of a semi-template that I use then to just send a connection request. I don't do the automated blast with, some of the tools out there that I've seen people use. I just have a little snippet that begins with, thanks for the like on my post. I'm always looking to connect with like-minded folks, and then maybe drop in a sentence that's kind of personalized to that individual. And more often than not, I'd say, more than 9 times out of 10, people accept that connection request because they recognize my name from just engaging in my post. I'm top of mind. So now that I've got that connection, I go ahead and send a follow-up. First of all, thank them for connecting. People are guarded over their inboxes more and more. They're going to be guarded over their LinkedIn network as the platform continues to grow. So make sure that you're showing some appreciation for someone letting you in their network, right? So that's my next step. And then really I just open it up as a natural conversation, like you would, someone that you sat down next to in a coffee shop or a bar and asked, how are things in your world these days? Something as simple as that. And they inevitably will share something that's going on with them. And as the law of reciprocity goes, they'll turn around and ask, what's new with you? What are you working on? Something to that effect. And so it opens the door for me then to, some folks, I've mentioned, hey, I'm going to be coming on board with Sweetfish here soon. This is kind of what we do. No big sales pitch, but this is what I do, because they've just told me the same. And then if there's more interest, try and take that conversation to email, to where it's a little bit easier to follow up and have a reminder if the conversation lulls for a bit or something like that. Mm-hmm. But that's how I've tactically gone from, hey, someone liked or made a comment on my post, to eventually trying to get it to a sales conversation. And to your point of, salespeople who are trying to do more social selling, or maybe convince their manager that, hey, I need to spend 30 minutes or an hour on LinkedIn every day, or maybe every other day, depending on kind of what the bar is set for in their sales organization, is, have that conversation of, well, I'm not only going to, put out content that I've posted, or I'm having marketing write for me or something, but I'm not just passively, accumulating likes. I'm doing something proactive to follow up with that and generate more in the sales funnel. And I think salespeople really get that. They get that active approach. And if you can tie that to revenue generating activity, then that's where that intersection of views and marketing metrics meets with real sales activity.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I love how tangible that tactic is. It's not like it's incredibly, time intensive. It probably takes you, less than 2 minutes to look through the list of who liked and commented on your post. And then from there, you can pretty quickly, based on people's headlines, assess whether or not this is somebody that you want to reach out to and start a conversation with. And I love the piece about, opening with, hey, thanks, really appreciate you accepting my request. What's new in your world? Something specific. I often get asked, like, how can I help you? And, or like, what do you do? And sometimes those questions are, honestly, I don't know. I don't engage with those people because it seems like a lazy way of interacting with me. Like, you literally can look at my LinkedIn profile and see exactly what I do. Like, I spell it out in my headline, clear as day. Right. So if you're asking me, like, I'm not even going to justify that with a response. And if you're, I don't know, there are ways to do it, but I love the way you phrase it of, what's new in your world? What are you working on? Is there any particular project you're working on that you're excited about? Something like that, puts the ball in their court, and it's easy to respond to.
Right. What's top of mind? What's, what are they thinking about? It's an easy question to ask. And, as sales go, you want to consistently reduce the friction of them interacting with you later on, reduce the friction of them buying from you. So if you can make that conversation very, very natural and easy for them to respond to, and something that they feel like they want to respond to, then you're setting yourself up for success that way,
Yeah, totally. I love it. Well, Logan, this has been fantastic. I really appreciate your time today. We recorded the first version of this earlier today and had to re-record. It is now, it's just after midnight East Coast time. And so you are a trooper for re-recording this because we had a little snafu on the first one, and you will be flying here on Friday. I'm super stoked to hang out with you this weekend. How can folks listening to this, obviously they're going to be hearing your voice a lot if they continue to listen to the show. How can folks stay connected with you?
Yeah, really excited to come on as one of the co-hosts on B2B Growth. So you'll be hearing me there. As we were talking about here, very active on LinkedIn. Just look me up, Logan Lyles on LinkedIn. Email's always great too, logan@sweetfishmedia.com.
Love it. Wonderful. Thank you again, man, so much. And really, really excited to get you on board.
Enjoyed the chat and excited to get rolling, man.
There are lots of ways to build a community, and we've chosen to build the B2B Growth community through this podcast. But because of the way podcasts work, it's really hard to engage with our listeners. And without engagement, it's tough to build a great community. So here's what we've decided to do. We're organizing small dinners across the country with our listeners and guests. No sales pitches, no agenda, just great conversations with like-minded people. We'll talk business, we'll talk family, we'll talk goals and dreams. We'll build friendships. So if you'd like to be a part of a B2B Growth dinner in a city near you, go to b2bgrowthdinners.com. That's b2bgrowthdinners.com. Thank you so much for listening. Until next time.